Most people who are fluent on paper still get misunderstood in real conversations. And it's never because their grammar is wrong. It's because they never learned to speak with clarity. The specific skill of shaping sound. So, a listener doesn't have to work to understand you. Stay for the next few minutes and you'll walk away with over 60 advanced words and phrases that will make your English sound sharper, clearer, and far more natural, not by memorizing anything complicated, but by learning to say ordinary ideas with precision. I'm Sophie, and this is Natural Word English. Here's why most vocabulary lessons fail you. They hand you a word and a definition and expect your brain to file it away for later. But your brain doesn't store language that way. It stores language the way it was used, inside a situation, attached to a feeling, wrapped around a real sentence you said out loud. That's why every word today comes with a real-life moment, a natural example, and a chance for you to say it yourself. Learning in context isn't a nice bonus. It's the only way new vocabulary actually becomes usable when you need it. In the middle of a real conversation, under real pressure, let's start with clarity itself, because that's our theme today, and it deserves its own vocabulary. Imagine you're in a meeting. And a colleague explains a plan so well that everyone in the room nods immediately. Afterward, someone says, "That was such a lucid explanation, lucid, clear, and easy to understand." Especially when it comes to thinking or explaining something complicated. It upgrades the basic word, clear, instead of saying her explanation was very clear. You say, her explanation was remarkably lucid. Notice the stress. It's not lucid. It's lucid, with the stress on the first syllable, and the U sound is short, like in loose, but cut off quickly. Try it slowly first. Lucid. Now a bit faster. Lucid. Good. Here's a short scene to place it in. Picture a college classroom late in the afternoon. The professor has just spent the last 10 minutes untangling a subject. The whole class has been struggling with it for weeks, and by the end, even the students in the back row are writing without hesitation. Okay. That actually made sense for the first time all semester. B. Right? She has this way of making even the hardest topics feel simple. A. It's not just simple, it's lucid. Like every sentence built directly on the last one. B. I wish more professors explained things that way. Now let's switch roles. I'll read Speaker A's line, and this time, you answer as Speaker B. Pause the video for a second, if you need to, and try to respond naturally before I give you an example. A. Honestly, I think that was the most lucid presentation I've seen all year. Here's one natural way you could have answered. I agree. She didn't waste a single sentence. And I actually understood the numbers for once. Notice how the response doesn't repeat the word lucid. That's a very natural habit in English conversation, responding to an idea without echoing the exact vocabulary. Let's build on that same idea with a related word. Coherent. While lucid focuses on how easy to follow something is, coherent focuses on how well the parts fit together logically. Nothing contradicts, nothing feels random. You might say, his argument wasn't just persuasive, it was coherent from start to finish. Try saying that now, slowly, then at natural speed. And here's a useful contrast pair. Because C1, C2 speakers love precision. The opposite of coherent is disjointed, meaning the ideas jump around without connecting smoothly. The report felt disjointed, like 3 different people wrote 3 different sections. Say that sentence aloud. Let's move into a workplace situation. because clarity matters most under professional pressure. Imagine you're about to present a new project to your manager. You feel nervous, but you've prepared your points carefully, and you want your ideas to land the way you intended. This is exactly where words like lucid, coherent, and their family really matter. Not as vocabulary you recognize, but as vocabulary you can lean on when it counts. Let's add a phrase to your working vocabulary here. Here, to get straight to the point. It means avoiding unnecessary details and communicating the essential message immediately. Say, the opposite of what a nervous speaker often does. I'll get straight to the point. We're behind schedule. Try that sentence with confidence. Even stress on each word. Now, a mini role play. You are presenting a small update to your team. I'll play your manager Adanager. So, how's the project going? Give me the short version. Now it's your turn. Try answering out loud using I'll get straight to the point before you continue. Here's one natural way to continue. I'll get straight to the point. We're 2 days behind. But the new deadline is still realistic if we finalize the design by Friday. Notice how that response is direct, but not rude. That balance is exactly what fluent professional English sounds like. Nice work so far. You've already picked up 4 solid upgrades. Lucid, coherent, disjointed, and get straight to the point. And we're only just getting started. Let's keep building. Next, let's talk about a word that upgrades honest in a very specific direction. Candid. Candid means openly truthful, even when the truth might be a little uncomfortable, and it often carries a tone of respect. Tell someone the truth. You tell someone the truth because you value them enough not to sugarcoat it. Can I be candid with you for a second? Is a very natural way to introduce honest feedback in English, especially at work. Try saying it now with a slightly softer, more careful tone. Since the content that follows is usually sensitive, here's the natural stress pattern. Candid, stress on the first syllable, and the second syllable is quick and light. Did, almost swallowed. Slowly, candid. Faster, candid. Let's place this in a scene. Imagine 2 coworkers standing by the coffee machine, one just finished reviewing the other's project proposal, and there's something honest, that needs to be said. Mai Jane's Mabachka, but gently. Hey, can I be candid with you about the proposal? B, of course, go ahead. A, I think the idea is strong, but the pricing section needs more evidence. Right now it just feels like a guess. B, that's fair. Honestly, I rushed that part. It happens. I just didn't want you to submit it without knowing. B, I appreciate you telling me directly. Instead of just approving it, that kind of exchange, direct but kind, is exactly what candid feedback sounds like in real English-speaking workplaces. Now, here's a related word. Worth no blunt. Blunt is also direct, but without the softness. It can sometimes sound harsh, even if it's not meant to be rude. He's a bit blunt, but he means well is a very common way. English speakers describe someone who's honest to the point of bluntness. Say that sentence out loud, then say it faster. Let's do a quick listening challenge here. Making sanations. This is where we train you to catch meaning, even when speech moves fast, which is exactly how real conversations happen. Listen to sentence once, at natural native speed. Look, I'm just gonna be straight with you. The numbers aren't adding up. Even if you didn't catch every single word, what's the main idea? You got habas like he's telling her honestly that something is wrong with the numbers. You understood it perfectly. That's the skill. Catching meaning, not chasing every syllable. Now let's slow that sentence down and look at the natural connected speech inside it. I'm just gonna be straight with you. Notice going to becomes gonna, a very common reduction in spoken American English. Say it slowly first. I am going to be straight with you. Now the natural, fast version. I'm just gonna be straight with you. This reduction isn't lazy speech. It's simply how fluent speakers actually talk. And recognizing it is part of real listening fluency. Let's shift into the emotional side of vocabulary now. Since clarity isn't only about logic, it's also about expressing feelings precisely. Instead of relying on vague words like good or bad or upset, imagine you had a stressful morning. Your train was late, your coffee spilled, and you walked into a meeting already tense. Someone asks how you're doing. Instead of saying, I'm just a little stressed. A more precise, natural upgrade is, honestly, I'm a bit frazzled this morning. Frazzled describes that specific feeling of being mentally exhausted and slightly overwhelmed by small stressful things piling up. Not deep sadness, just that scattered, worn-out feeling. Try the word slowly. Frazzled. Now at natural speed, frazzled. Notice the stress falls on the first syllable, and the zilled at the end is quick and soft. Here's a short scene. You walk into the office 15 minutes late, hair a mess, coffee stain on your sleeve. Coworker. Whoa, rough morning. You, try answering that yourself, using the word frazzled, before I give you an example. Here's a natural response. Honestly, yeah, I'm completely frazzled. My train got canceled and then I spilled coffee on myself, walking in. Notice how naturally frazzled fits into a casual, slightly self-deprecating tone. That's exactly the emotional register it belongs to. Let's add one more emotional upgrade. Instead of very tired, try drained, which specifically emphasizes that your energy has been completely used up. Often after something emotionally or mentally demanding, not just physically tiring. After that meeting, I felt completely drained. Say that sentence now. And the opposite emotional direction. Instead of very happy, try elated, a word that carries a sense of pure excitement and joy often connected to good news. She was elated when she got the acceptance letter. Try saying it with rising energy in your voice. Since the word itself carries emotional lift. Let's connect drained and elated into a short natural mini dialogue between two friends catching up after a long week. How was your week? B. Honestly, a roller coaster. Monday I was completely drained. I had 3 deadlines at once. A. That sounds brutal. B. But then Friday I got the promotion, so now I'm just elated. Totally worth it. A. C. That's the kind of week that makes the stress worth it. You've got great momentum going. Let's take a short breath here. Literally, take one slow breath in and out. Because that pause matters too. Learning works best in waves, not one long flat line, and a 10-second reset like this helps the words we just covered actually settle into memory before we move to the next block. Now, let's move into vocabulary for describing personality, because this is one of the most useful categories in real conversation. Talking about people, their character, how they behave under pressure or in relationships. Basic English gives you nice, smart, hardworking. Advanced English gives you precision. Take the word meticulous. It means extremely careful and precise about details. Sometimes almost to the point of being fussy. But usually in a positive, admirable sense when it comes to work. She's meticulous about her research. She checks every single source twice. Try the pronunciation slowly, meticulous. Now at natural speed, with the stress on the second syllable, meticulous. Meticulous. Here's a scene. Imagine a design team preparing a big client presentation, and one team member has just caught a tiny formatting error that everyone else missed. Asa. Wait, how did you even notice that? It's like 1 pixel off. B. I always double-check everything before it goes out. Better safe than embarrassed. A. You're honestly the most meticulous person on this team. B. I'll take that as a compliment. Related word, opposite direction. Instead of careless, try sloppy, meaning done without care. Messy, lacking attention to detail. That report was pretty sloppy. There were typos on every page. Try saying that now. Let's do a quick vocabulary quiz to check how these are landing. I'll describe a person and you decide which word fits best. Meticulous or sloppy. Ready? He reviews every line of code 3 times before submitting it. That's meticulous. Try one more. She turned in the assignment with half the citations missing and the font changing halfway through. That's sloppy. If you got both right, that's genuine progress. That's genuine progress. You're not just memorizing definitions, you're recognizing usage, which is the real goal. Let's add 2 more personality words that upgrade very common ones. Instead of confident, try assertive, which specifically describes someone who expresses their opinions and needs clearly and firmly, without being aggressive. You need to be more assertive in meetings if you want people to take your ideas seriously. Try that sentence slowly, then faster, and notice the stress. Assertive, stress in the middle. And instead of just saying someone is nice, try considerate, meaning someone who thinks carefully about other people's feelings and needs before acting. He's incredibly considerate. He always asks before making plans that affect the whole group. Say it now. Consider 8. Let's role-play a scene where both of these matter. A team meeting where someone needs to push back on an idea, but do it kindly. A. I really think we should launch next week. B. Can I be honest? I don't think we're ready, and I want to say that clearly, not just go along with it. A. I appreciate you being upfront, instead of staying quiet. B. I just think if we rush this, we'll regret it. I'd rather be assertive now than apologetic later. That's a great example of someone being assertive while still being considerate. Direct. Direct but respectful of the relationship. Now let's slow down for a pronunciation and connected speech block. Because sounding natural isn't only about vocabulary. It's about how words blend together in real speech. Let's take the sentence. What do you think about that? In natural fast speech, this often becomes, what do you think about that? Say it slowly first. What do you think about that? Now the connected, fast version. What do you think about that? That D sound linking what and do is called a flap T, extremely common in American English. Here's another one. I don't know. Often becomes I don't know in casual speech, slowly. I don't know. Fast, I don't know. Try both, back to back a few times, until the fast version feels natural in your mouth, not just your ears. Let's also talk about sentence stress, since it's just as important as individual word pronunciation. In the sentence, I really think you should reconsider. The stress naturally falls on really, think, and reconsider, the content words that carry meaning, while smaller words like you, should, are said more quickly and softly. Try saying it with that rhythm. I really think you should reconsider. Say it again a little faster, letting the small words blur together, naturally. Nice work getting through this stretch. That's real progress, especially the connected speech. Because that's the part most learners skip entirely, and it's exactly what makes native speech sound fast to your ear, even when it isn't actually that fast. Let's move into a travel and social situation now, because vocabulary needs variety across real contexts to really stick. Imagine you're at a networking event, slightly nervous, trying to make a good first impression with someone new. Basic phrases like, "Nice to meet you," work, but here's how to sound more naturally sophisticated, without sounding stiff or overly formal. Try this phrase. "I'd love to pick your brain about that sometime." This means you want to ask someone questions to benefit from their knowledge or experience. A very natural, friendly way to show genuine interest without sounding demanding. Try saying it now with warm, curious energy in your voice. Here's the scene. Imagine an evening networking mixer, soft lighting, quiet conversation around you. You've just been introduced to someone working in a field you're curious about. A. So you mentioned you work in renewable energy consulting. That's fascinating, actually. B. Oh, thank you. It's a small niche, but I really enjoy it. A. I'd love to pick your brain about that sometime if you're ever open to it. B. Absolutely, I'm always happy to talk about it. Here, let me give you my card. A. Perfect. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it. B. Of course, it was great meeting you. Now let's practice the role switch technique again. I'll read Speaker B's part, and you respond as Speaker A, starting the conversation naturally. B. So, what do you do? Here's one natural way you might have responded. I actually work in marketing, but I've been getting really into sustainability lately. That's actually why I wanted to talk to you. See how naturally that connects back into the conversation? That's the kind of fluid, situational English that textbooks rarely teach. Let's add one more useful phrase for this context. Instead of the overused, "let's stay in touch," try, "let's definitely keep in contact. I'll follow up next week." It sounds more intentional and specific, which makes people trust that you'll actually follow through. Soon. Soon. Try saying it now with a tone that sounds genuine, not just polite. We're building a strong foundation here. You're already about a third of the way through today's vocabulary, and every single word so far has come wrapped inside a real situation, not a flashcard. That's exactly why it will actually stick this time. Let's keep the momentum going into the next section, where we're going to move into technology, decision-making, and some sharper, connected speech patterns you'll hear constantly in real native conversation. Type 1, and I'll continue straight from here with the next block of vocabulary. Let's move into vocabulary. Move into technology and decision-making vocabulary now, because this is one of those areas where basic English keeps you stuck saying good or bad or I don't know, when advanced speakers reach for something far more precise. Imagine you're in a meeting where your team is choosing between two software tools, and someone asks your honest opinion. Instead of the flat, "I think it's good," try, "Honestly, it's fairly intuitive. I figured out most of the features without even reading the manual." Intuitive describes something designed so naturally that people understand how to use it almost instinctively. Without needing much instruction, try the pronunciation slowly. Intuitive. Now faster with the stress on the second syllable. Intuitive. Here's a short scene. Two colleagues testing a new project management app for the first time. A. Okay. Be honest. How's it going with the new software? B. Surprisingly well, actually. It's really intuitive. I didn't even need the training video. A. Really? I was expecting a whole learning curve. B. Nope. Everything's exactly where you'd expect it to be. Let's add the opposite word to because contrast pairs are one of the fastest ways to lock vocabulary vocali into memory. Other and my. Instead of confusing, try counterintuitive, meaning something that works in a way that goes against what you'd naturally expect, so it feels confusing, even though there might be a logical reason behind it. The settings menu is honestly counterintuitive. The save button is hidden under a completely unrelated tab. Try that sentence now, slowly, then at natural conversational speed. Let's talk about decision-making next, since this is a category full of upgrade opportunities. Instead of saying, I decided quickly, try, I made a snap decision. A snap decision is one made very fast, often based on instinct rather than our thought. And it can be used either positively or with a slightly cautious tone depending on context. Depending on context. We had to make a snap decision before the flight closed. So we just booked it. Try saying it now. And on the opposite end, instead of, I thought about it carefully, try. Weighed the pros and cons. A phrase meaning you carefully considered the advantages and disadvantages before deciding. Before accepting the job offer, I really weighed the pros and cons. Say that sentence slowly, then faster, noticing how weighed the naturally blends together, almost like weighed the in fast connected speech. Let's build a scene combining both of these. Since real conversations often move between fast instinct and careful reasoning. A. So, did you take the new apartment? B. Yeah, actually. I know it sounds crazy, but it was kind of a snap decision. I just walked in and knew. A. Wow, that's bold. I would have weighed the pros and cons for weeks. B. Honestly, sometimes overthinking makes things worse. This one just felt right. A. Fair enough. I guess some decisions really are more instinct than logic. Now, role switch time. I'll play speaker A, and you respond as speaker B. Imagine you just made a fast, instinctive decision about something in your own life, and explain it naturally. A. Wait, you already signed up for the marathon? That was fast. Here's a natural way that could go. I know. It was totally a snap decision. I saw the sign-up page and just didn't let myself think too hard about it. Notice how naturally that phrase fits into casual storytelling. That's exactly the kind of register where snap decision belongs. Nice work. You're picking up not just the words, but when to use them, which is honestly the harder skill. Let's move into a phonetic block here, because I want to make sure your ear is trained on some very York common reductions that show up constantly in native speech, especially around decision and opinion vocabulary. Median in vocabulary. Take the phrase, I want to. In fast speech, this frequently becomes, I wanna. Slowly, I wanna think about it. Fast, I wanna think about it. Try both. Here's another. Kind of often reduces to kinda in casual speech. It's kind of confusing becomes it's kinda confusing. Say both versions, slow then fast, a few times in a row. And one more pattern worth knowing. Rising intonation at the end of a statement often signals uncertainty or a soft suggestion, even without a question mark. Try saying, I think we should wait, with a flat, confident tone. That sounds like a firm opinion. Now say the exact same words with your pitch rising slightly at the end. I think we should wait? Notice how that same sentence now sounds more like a tentative suggestion, almost inviting disagreement. This subtle pitch shift is something native speakers do, constantly. And mostly, unconsciously. and picking up on it will dramatically improve how much of the emotional meaning you catch in conversation, not just the words. Let's move to a job interview scenario now, because this is one of the highest stakes situations where precise vocabulary really matters, and it's a context most learners feel nervous about. Imagine you're being asked to describe a challenge you overcame at work. Instead of the overused, "It was difficult but I solved it, here's an upgrade." It was a genuinely demanding project, but I managed to stay resourceful and find a workaround. Demanding describes something requiring a lot of effort, skill, or attention, stronger and more specific than hard. Resourceful describes someone who's good at finding quick, clever solutions, using whatever is available, even under pressure. Try both words slowly. Demanding, riskrant, full. Now at natural speed, back to back, demanding, resourceful. Here's the scene: a job interview. Slightly formal atmosphere. The interviewer leaning forward with genuine interest. Interviewer: "Can you tell me about a time you faced a significant challenge at work?" You. Try answering out loud first, using at least one of today's words, before I give you a model answer. Here's one strong way to answer. Sure. Last year, our lead developer left in the middle of a major deadline. It was an incredibly demanding few weeks, but I had to get resourceful. I ended up learning parts of the codebase myself, just to keep things moving. Notice the structure. Situation, challenge. That's the natural shape of a strong interview answer in English. And the vocabulary makes it sound confident, rather than desperate. Let's add one more interview-ready phrase. Instead of, "I'm good under pressure," try, "I tend to thrive under pressure." Thrive means to grow, succeed, or do especially well, often in conditions that would challenge other people. It's a strong, positive verb, much more memorable than "I'm good at." Try saying it now. I tend to thrive under pressure, especially with tight deadlines. Say that with genuine confidence in your voice, since tone matters as much as vocabulary in an interview. Let's shift to describing problems and setbacks now. Since not everything in a conversation is positive, and knowing how to talk about difficulty naturally is just as important as talking about success. Instead of, "There was a problem," try, "We ran into a snag." A snag is a small, often unexpected problem that gets in the way of progress. Usually not a disaster, just an annoyance that needs solving. "We hit a small snag with the shipment, but it's already handled." Try the pronunciation. Snag, with a short, sharp vowel sound. Say it in the full sentence now, slowly then faster. And for a bigger problem, instead of, "It was a disaster," try, "It completely backfired." Backfire means a plan or action produces the opposite result of what was intended, often making things worse. We tried to fix the bug quickly, but it totally backfired and crashed the whole system. Say that sentence now. Let's connect these into a natural workplace exchange. A. How'd the product launch go? B. Honestly, we hit a few snags early on, but nothing major. That's not too bad then. B. Well, actually, one thing did backfire. We sent the email campaign a day early by mistake, and half our discount codes expired before people could use them. A. Oof, that's rough. B. Yeah. Lesson learned, definitely double-check the schedule next time. Nice work, that's the kind of honest, slightly self-critical storytelling that native speakers do, constantly. And now, you have exactly the vocabulary to do it too. Let's take a short pause here. 30 seconds, no new vocabulary, Just a moment to let everything settle. Close your eyes if you're not driving or walking. Take a slow breath in. Hold it for a second, and let it out slowly. This kind of short reset between dense vocabulary blocks genuinely helps your brain consolidate what it just learned. So, don't skip it, even if it feels unnecessary. Okay, let's continue, moving now into a very useful category. Describing change and progress, which comes up constantly whether you're talking about your career, a relationship, a habit, or even a country's economy. Instead of things got better slowly, try. Things have been gradually improving. Gradually means happening slowly and steadily over time, as opposed to suddenly. My English has been gradually improving since I started practicing daily. Say that sentence now and notice the stress. Ally, 4 syllables, stress on the first, and for the opposite kind of change. Instead of it changed a lot suddenly. Try, it skyrocketed. Skyrocket means to increase very quickly and dramatically, almost like a rocket launching upward. It's a vivid, visual word that instantly communicates speed and scale. Demand for the product skyrocketed after the video went viral. Try saying it with some energy, since the word itself has a dramatic, upward feeling. Skyrocketed. Here's a mini dialogue combining both, said in a casual catch-up between old friends. A. How's the business going? B. How's the business going? B. It's honestly been a slow build. Sales have been gradually improving month over month. A. That's solid though. Steady growth is healthier than a sudden spike anyway. B. True, although I wouldn't complain if it skyrocketed overnight. Fair enough. Slow and steady works, but who doesn't dream a little? Let's do a self-practice exercise here, one you can genuinely use outside this video. I want you to describe something around you right now, using your senses and today's vocabulary, out loud, as if you're narrating your own environment. For example, there's a lucid, quiet feeling in this room right now. I can hear something faint outside, and honestly, I feel pretty drained after this long stretch of listening, but in a good way. Try building 2 or 3 sentences like that yourself right now. Strazow your actual around your surroundings and how you feel. Using any words from today's lesson. This kind of self-narration exercise might feel a little strange at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to turn passive vocabulary, words you just recognize, into active vocabulary, words that come out of your mouth automatically when you need them in real life. Outside of any lesson, let's move now into a slightly deeper category. Vocabulary for disagreement and diplomacy, because knowing how to disagree with someone in English without sounding rude or overly aggressive is one of the most valuable and most underestimated communication skills. Instead of bluntly saying, "I disagree," try, "I see it a bit differently." This phrase softens disagreement while still being completely clear about your position. It invites discussion rather than shutting it down. Try saying it now with a calm, open tone, not defensive. And for a stronger, more direct pushback while still remaining professional, try, "I have to respectfully push back on that." Pushback here means to resist or challenge an idea, and pairing it with respectfully keeps the tone professional even while disagreeing firmly. Say that sentence slowly. Then, at a natural, confident pace, here's a scene. A team meeting, slightly tense, where 2 people have different opinions on a project direction. A. I really think we should cut the budget for marketing next quarter. B. I see it a bit differently, honestly. Marketing's actually what's driving our current growth. A. Sure, but the numbers show we're overspending compared to competitors. B. I have to respectfully push back on that. The numbers don't account for the new campaign that just launched last week. That's a fair point, actually. Let's look at updated data before deciding. That's a great model of healthy disagreement. Direct, respectful, and grounded in reasoning rather than emotion. Let's role switch one more time here. I'll give you Speaker A's opening opinion, and you respond as Speaker B, disagreeing politely but clearly, using one of today's phrases. A, I think we should just go with the cheaper supplier, even if the quality's a bit lower. Here's a natural way to respond. I see it a bit differently. I think the quality difference is actually going to cost us more in customer complaints down the line. Notice how that response doesn't attack the other person. It simply offers a different angle, backed by a reason. That structure, soft disagreement, plus a clear reason, is exactly what fluent, professional English disagreement sounds like. You're doing genuinely great here. That's a difficult skill, even for native speakers. And you just practiced it twice already. Let's shift into one more pronunciation and intonation block before we move toward the final stretch. Let's talk about question intonation, since it dramatically affects how natural your English sounds. For yes/no questions, like "Are you coming tonight?" the pitch typically rises at the very end. Try it. "Are you coming tonight?" with your voice lifting upward on tonight. Now, for information questions, the ones starting with what, where, why, how, like, "Where are you going?" the pitch usually falls at the end instead. Try it. "Where are you going?" letting your voice drop slightly on going. Practice both types, back to back. A few times, exaggerating the pitch movement. At first, then softening it towards something more natural. Let's also revisit shadow chinooing technique here, since it's central to everything we're doing today. Shadowing means listening to a short phrase and repeating it back immediately, almost like an echo. Copying not just the words but the rhythm, the stress, and the intonation. Not stopping to think, not translating, just mimicking the sound as closely as you can, the instant you hear it. Let's try it now with a full sentence. I have to respectfully push back on that. Listen to the shape of it in your head one more time, then say it immediately, matching the rhythm as closely as possible. I have to respectfully push back on that. Try it again. A little faster this time, like a true echo. We've now covered close to 40 solid vocabulary items and phrases, all wrapped inside real situations. Clarity and honesty, personality, decision-making, setbacks, change, and diplomacy. And your pronunciation and listening skills have been building right alongside them. That's genuinely strong progress, and we're not finished yet. Type 2, and we'll continue into the next block, covering vocabulary for travel, technology, conversations, a full fluency round, bringing everything together, and your specific action step for today. Let's move into travel and everyday life vocabulary now, because even advanced speakers often default to basic phrases the moment they're outside a work context, and that's exactly where these next words will make a real difference. Imagine you're navigating a foreign city, mein Father. Things are a little chaotic, and you want to describe your day to a friend later without sounding like a beginner. Instead of, "The trip was really busy," try, "The trip was honestly a bit hectic." Hectic describes a situation full of rushed, intense activity, often with a slightly overwhelming feeling attached to it. Try the pronunciation slowly. Hectic. Now faster, with a clipped, energetic rhythm. Hectic. Here's a short scene. You've just landed after a long, connecting flight, and you're catching up with a friend over a video call. A. How was the trip? B. Honestly, pretty hectic. We missed our connection, had to sprint through the airport, and somehow still made it with 2 minutes to spare. A. That sounds stressful. B. It was. But once we landed, everything calmed down. The hotel view almost made up for it. Let's add a contrasting word for the calmer side of travel. Instead of it was relaxing, try it was genuinely rejuvenating. Rejuvenating describes something that makes you feel refreshed and full of new energy. Almost like it restores you. That weekend at the coast was exactly what I needed. Completely rejuvenating. Try saying it now, slowly. Rejuvenating. Then at a natural, warmer pace. Letting the word breathe a little. Rejuvenating. Let's picture that scene fully. Imagine standing on a quiet beach in the early morning. The air still cool, the sound of waves rolling steadily onto the sand. No rush, no schedule, just you and the horizon. A. You look so relaxed. How was the coast? B. Honestly, exactly what I needed. Waking up to the ocean every morning was so rejuvenating. I'm jealous. My last trip was the opposite, total chaos. B. Sometimes you need one hectic trip to really appreciate a rejuvenating one. Let's move into technology conversations, since this comes up constantly in modern English. Whether you're talking about apps, gadgets, or online habits, instead of I use my phone too much. Try. Honestly, I think I'm a bit too glued to my phone. Glued to something means unable to stop looking at or using it. Almost physically stuck to it. A vivid, casual way to describe a habit you're slightly self-conscious about. Try saying it with a slightly embarrassed, joking tone, since that's the natural register for this phrase. I'm honestly glued to my phone these days. And for describing a helpful piece of technology, instead of, it's really useful. Try. It's genuinely been a game changer. A game changer is something that dramatically improves or transforms a situation. A strong, positive phrase used constantly in both casual and professional English. That app has been a total game changer for my productivity. Say that now, with real enthusiasm, since this phrase naturally carries excitement. Here's a mini dialogue between two friends discussing a new habit tracker app. Wait, you've been using that app every day for a month? That's impressive. B. Honestly, it's been a total game changer. I used to be glued to my phone just scrolling, but now I actually track my habits with it instead. A. That's such a smart swap. Same screen time, better use of it. B. Exactly. I still catch myself scrolling sometimes, but way less than before. Let's do another quick listening challenge here, at natural conversational speed. Honestly, it's kind of become my whole morning routine at this point. Even without catching every word, what's the main idea? If you understood to do something like, this has become a regular part of their morning, you got it exactly right. Notice kind of, reduced to kinda, and it has, reduced to its. Both extremely common in casual native speech. Let's move into a role-play situation now. Combining technology and opinion vocabulary. Imagine you're at a casual dinner with friends, and the conversation turns to social media habits. Friend. Honestly, I think social media does more harm than good at this point. Now it's your turn. Respond with your own opinion, using at least one phrase from today, like, I see it a bit differently. Or, I have to respectfully push back on that. Or simply share your own view naturally. Here's one way that could go. I see it a bit differently. I think it depends completely on how you use it. For me, it's honestly been a game changer for staying in touch with family overseas. Notice how naturally that response connects an earlier phrase, game changer, with a brand new opinion phrase, showing exactly how vocabulary from different parts of a conversation naturally blends together in real speech. Let's now build toward the fluency round. But first, one more self-practice sensory exercise, because this is where today's vocabulary truly becomes reflex rather than memory. Take a moment. Look around wherever you are right now and try to describe it out loud using at least 3 words or phrases from today's lesson. Mixing sight, sound, and feeling. For example, right now the room feels pretty calm, honestly. Kind of a lucid, quiet moment after a hectic day. I can hear something faint in the background, and I actually feel a little drained. But in a satisfied way, like after a good workout. Try building your own 2 or 3 sentences now, describing your actual environment and your actual feeling in this exact moment. That kind of unscripted, spontaneous sentence building is genuinely the closest thing to real conversation. You can practice alone, and it's exactly the skill that turns words I recognize into words I actually use. Now, Anne's Venus. Let's do our fluency round. This is where we move fast, no new explanations, just rapid-fire review to lock everything into your memory through repetition and speed. I'll say a phrase, and I want you to repeat it back immediately, right after me, matching the rhythm as closely as you can. Ready? Let's go. Lucid, coherent, disjointed, get straight to the point, candid, blunt, frazzled, drained, elated, meticulous, sloppy, assertive, considerate, pick your brain, keep in contact, intuitive, counterintuitive, snap, decision, weighed the pros and cons, demanding, resourceful, thrive under pressure, hit a snag, backfired, gradually improving, skyrocketed, I see it a bit differently, respectfully push back, hectic, rejuvenating, glued to, game changer, nice work. Say that whole list one more time on your own, out loud. Right now, without me leading you, just to see how many come back naturally. However many you got, that's genuine, measurable progress from where you started this video, and that's exactly the point. Not perfection. Just visible growth every single time you practice. Let's talk about what to do next, because vocabulary that stays inside this video doesn't actually change how you speak. Sees? Here's your specific action step. In the comments below, write one sentence, just one, using any word from today's lesson, describing something true about your actual day. Not a random example, your real day. That single sentence does more for your memory than watching this entire video passively a second time, because it forces you to retrieve the word yourself that captures your memory of your father under your own effort, which is exactly how long-term memory works. Before we finish, let's do one final full sentence shadowing round, combining rhythm, stress, and vocabulary all together. Listen, then repeat immediately. Honestly, I think I'm a bit too glued to my phone, but this new routine has genuinely been a game changer. Say it now, matching the rhythm as closely as you can. Try it once more, a little faster, a little more natural. You've done real work today, not passive watching, but actual speaking, actual listening, actual thinking in English, out loud, again and again. That repetition, that willingness to speak, even when it feels a little clumsy at first, is precisely what separates people who understand English from people who can actually use it in the moment it matters. Come back and shadow this same lesson again tomorrow. Your mouth and your ear both need repetition far more than your eyes need a new video. Practice one sentence from today out loud sometime before you sleep tonight. Even just once. Thanks for spending this time building your English with me today. If any of these words genuinely surprised you or felt useful, that's exactly the kind of vocabulary worth returning to. I'll see you in the next lesson.